Most of us know Kevin Bacon as an actor for movies like Footloose and A Few Good Men. But you may not know that he teamed up with his brother Michael, who's a songwriter and a performer, and they do concerts. Over the past 20 years, they've had out 7 albums. We caught up with them both at the PNE in 2008. Did you take acting lessons or something years ago, Kevin?
Yeah, we were raised in a household where there was a lot of opportunities to do anything creative, whether you were drawing or dancing or making music. And my brother was already off kind of on a music career. And when it came time, when I was in my early teens and I was trying to decide what to do, I had been playing in bands, I'd been writing some songs, but I sort of felt like he was doing that and I should try to do something else. And so I started taking some acting classes, and that's the road that my life took.
Did you ever take classical music training or anything like that?
Yeah, well, I write music for film, so I'm a trained classical composer and I orchestrate and all that kind of stuff. And so my day job is writing music for films and television shows.
Of course, we remember you got an Emmy for
The Kennedys.
The Kennedys, yeah, that was incredible. That was a mini-series. That was
Right.
How'd that feel when you said, step up here and get your Emmy?
Well, it was just one of those things that my son was waiting up, and we walked in, and I had the statue, and it was one of those great memories. More what it was exciting for him, and I've never felt like that was necessarily the best thing I ever did.
It's a combination of folk and rock, and there's lots of, it's sort of eclectic, the things you do.
Yeah, I think the first record that we did, we called it Foro Soco, which was just this silly idea of folk, rock, soul, country, because this was back in the days when they actually had record stores, and you'd have a section of the record store that said rock or country or folk or whatever. So we thought, well, we're sort of a little bit of all of those things, and that's our category, is Foro Soco.
But it's fascinating because of the mix itself. And I think the combination of those mix for different music. What do you think?
The music business is very much, that's because the question is always asked. They want you to be in some very specific category. And if you are kind of eclectic, we're 2 songwriters, we're very different kind of musicians. So I think it's been harder for us to be put in a category and sort of labeled. And I think by defining the labels, it makes the band more fun and more interesting for us.
It's not like the old days, though, is it? Where they would say to Lennon and McCartney, we need 12 new songs for an album. It's different today.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, I think that would probably be good for us if somebody cracked the whip in that kind of way. But we used to, we used to write a lot more together, and I think that we write a little bit less together now. I think both of us have situations where we can kind of demo songs and write them, and a lot of times I write when we're not together. Like if I'm on a movie set, I spend a lot of time in the trailer, I have a guitar, that's when a lot of the songs sort of come up.
Yeah,
so
actors never actually do anything. They just sit around in their trailers.
It is. I've been on enough sets to know. You have to have a special headset because it is hurry up and wait, is it not, Kevin?
It certainly is. It certainly is. And some people watch videos or do yoga or whatever. And my thing is to play my guitar and think of write songs. But we still collaborate every once in a while, and you never know where they're going to come from. And every time I've ever written a song, I always think it's the last one. And then once in a while, another one comes, and our whole act and all of our records are really just based on the fact that we kept writing and had enough tunes to make another record.
Michael, looking back, who were your inspirations?
A lot of Canadians. Ian Tyson, Joni Mitchell, Neil Young, Gordon Lightfoot,
Neil Young in it, yeah.
James Taylor, Pete Seeger. I'm kind of a folkie, but in the band, I get pulled along by the band in a lot of ways, and still usually there's a couple of songs that are more kind of acoustic things, and who else? The band,
Robbie.
Phenomenal. We had the opportunity to open for them at Carnegie Hall when
Levi?
No, the one that died. I'm sorry,
Rick
I'm
Danko.
thinking Rick Danko
Before
he
he died,
died.
yeah.
So it was one of the last jobs that he had done, and they were amazing. We run into Levon every once in a while. He's playing around New York still, and of course the Beatles. I had probably one of the first singles of the Rolling Stones in this country because my father brought it back from England, and these guys were not even established. And so plus, I like all kinds of music as long as it's good.
How do the two of you get together? You're doing a movie. You're out, writing music or performing solo. How do you work it so that you're working together?
Well, you don't really. There's no plan. It's kind of we'll get an offer here, and then we'll see how Kevin's schedule is, and if we can maybe link a couple of things together. Once, like for instance, if we get an offer in California, can we go a couple of days early and do some other clubs and stay a little bit longer? So it's kind of it's kind of you throw all these things up in the air and you see how they land, and as you look forward, you think it's just going to be impossible to do everything. But 14 years we've made every job we book, so somehow we do it.
A lot of times, what happens for me is if the show is booked before the movie is, they'll often fall on a weekend on a Saturday night. So wherever I am in the United States, I'll be on a plane to try to get to the gig. A lot of times it's kind of like planes, trains, and automobiles to try to make a gig on a Saturday night if I'm coming from wherever, Vancouver.
You've done some amazing show-ups at gigs that I don't know how you do it.
I remember shooting in Vancouver and having a gig in Boston on a Saturday night, and I took the red eye and then connected, I guess, through Toronto. Then got another. It was outside of Boston. It wasn't even in Boston. It was like a long drive from Boston, and it was a real challenge. But it's fun. I mean, once I'm thrown into that situation, as long as I know that playing, once we get playing, it makes it all fun. It makes it all worth it. Makes the trip worth it.
Last question, Michael. Did Mom always like you best?
Yes, I can answer that. Yes.
I have to say, yeah, but of course, who wouldn't?